money. Don't dress to impress the men and to say that you get to first. Look for money.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. We want to say happy New Year for those who are watching us for the first time on the Business and Economic Forum in 2020. On the Business and Economic Forum, we discuss nothing but business and economics. We discuss nothing but money, because even the Bible agrees with us, money answers everything. So we want to welcome you. Share the video. Those who are joining us via Facebook, we want to say welcome. And I have my man in the house. In studio here, Mr. William King of the Business and Economic Forum. William, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Once again, Happy New Year to everyone. This is our first event, and starting off from the top of the year, our topic, is going to be, investing in Liberia, from the diaspora side, right? Liberian diaspora, investing in Liberia. And we're going to try to keep it, we're going to take it back from the top. We don't want to make no assumptions. We want to just define what we mean by investment in Liberia, because I think that's going to help drive the conversation. Those who are joining us on Facebook, we say welcome, Happy New Year. Make sure if you have any questions or comment, please put it down over there. And also later on, we're going to open up the call lines. I'm passing this on to our other host, Alex Jones. Take it from there, please.
All right. While we wait for Alex, let me play our disclaimer, just to let you know that whatever any of the dude here say, they on their own. Thank you. Mr. Alex Chuchu Jones, welcome to Focus on Liberia, and he's going to be joining us shortly. But it's always very, very important to discuss business and economics, finance, money, because, and maybe William, help me, let our viewer understand why this topic is so important. Most of the time in Liberia, we talk politics, we talk religion, even though these are very good. How and why is the economics so vital?
Oh, well, Alex, I mean, economic, since way back biblical times, like in Liberia, we probably like to say it, really economic is a form of exchange, form of bartering between citizens, between people. I have something you want, and you have something that I want, so let's engage in this kind of a barter system. That's how this thing first started. And then now, as we fast forward to now, within this world that we have, we just have the money, which is a currency of exchange. And it's so vital because this is how people will go out and transact and do different things to put food on their table. This is how government gets taxes to run proper government structure. This is how you get to a place where you can improve your quality of life. This is how you can pay for your children's school fee. This is how, when people, unfortunately, sometimes sickness does happen. And this is where, when there's sicknesses, you can afford to pay for healthcare services. And even if that isn't there, if you have a great economy, the government is able to provide a kind of a healthcare system, and they're able to keep the wheels rolling. So when we talk about the economy, just picture that as you have a nice, beautiful car, but you don't have tires on the car, and you don't have fuel. And that is something that is critical to one component that makes the car work and makes it drivable. So the economy is one, governance is the other one. There are other different pieces, but needing money to operate is something that is very important to any country's sovereign.
Thank you, William. Now we have our Alex Chuchu joining the house. Alex, welcome to the first Business and Economic Forum of 2020.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis, and thank you, Williams. Hopefully this will be prosperous and a year where Liberians can finally turn the corner in terms of the economics and the personal finances. So it's very exciting to be here with all that's going on and all of the difficulties. So our job is to educate and promote all things Liberia and to provide some kind of financial and economic idea so that people can engage with us and see how they can improve their lives and we can have a prosperous new year. So it's always exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to welcome all our viewers across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia. We are broadcasting from beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. Our topic today is on investment, investing in Liberia, and we'll look at what investment is, the ways we can invest, what are some of the challenges, the prospects, and we'll look at especially from us here, Liberians in the diaspora, how do we invest, and how even the local people in Liberia invest. Why is it that maybe our premium is always on foreigners or white people when we talk about investment? Maybe we don't know what investment is. But before we go into all that juicy stuff, I want us to have a short water cooler moment to reflect on what is going on in our country. There was a protest planned on December 30th. It didn't happen. There was a lot of commotion in the city. It was postponed or rescheduled for December 5 or 6, depending on who you're listening to. So as a water cooler movement, I want us to just briefly discuss for the next 5 minutes the economics of protests. When protests happen, what impact does that have on the economy? Does it go high? Does it go low? People sometimes use that, say, oh, you are driving away investor or you were doing this. So let's, from the business and economic standpoint, and I know people listen to you guys because this is your area, as people say in Liberia. So what's the economics of protest or the economics of government action and international community intervention? Let's discuss.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. I live in the beautiful big city of Los Angeles, and if anyone has been around for a while, they know that in 1992 there was the Los Angeles riot, and what happened? Of course, the Los Angeles riot started as a protest against prejudice and basically the African American population had just gotten to the point where they were just sick and tired of all this discrimination, social, racial inequality, economic inequality, and everything, and that just kind of boiled over. One of the things to just as an example was in the African American communities, there were a lot of stores, there were a lot of businesses there. Most of those businesses were not owned by African Americans. And the main thing is that when that riot and everything took place, a lot of those businesses, they closed up shop and they left. And it took a very long time, over 10 years, for the area to recuperate from that type of riot, that type of incident. So when we look at that and we compare that to Liberia and you say, well, the economic impact, investment impact, and so forth. The idea here is that investors, they like certainty, and more importantly, they want to see some kind of stability in a country that they wish to invest in. Now, when we have these protests, I don't think there's anything wrong necessary with the protests, but I think it's all of the political things that get added to it, and the way these protests are kind of the political strategy. So you have where certain oppositions may use fear and say this is not going to be a peaceful protest. They're talking about killing people. They're talking about bringing out guns. They're talking about no peace and so forth. So all of these type of political strategy, what happens is that with these kind of rhetoric, it definitely scares investors away, or puts investors on the sideline and say, you know what, let me just wish small. And also for Liberians, Liberians as a whole, us who have something in Liberia to lose, we think twice about how we put our money in there, or we think twice about how we speak about Liberia to potential investors and so forth outside the country. And so what ends up happening is there's a contraction of the economy. Money doesn't flow in as it should, and the local businesses that are on the ground, they lose money. They lose money when your store is closed. Days you're going to lose money because you don't want anything to be damaged, and so you lose buying power and so forth. And in Liberia, at the micro level where the rubber hits the road, that little $2, $3, $4 profit, or that $7 profit, when you miss it 2, 3, 4 days, you really feel it in your pocket. It's a big pinch. So yeah, protesting, it's something that we hear about in Liberia, and unfortunately, each political party, they have to position themselves to make sure that they're not drowned out. But there is an economic impact with some of those strategies that are being employed out there.
Thank you, William. Let me go to Alex on the economics of protest, counter-protest, government action, and international community intervention.
Well, okay, so just look at the economics of it. From an economic standpoint or investment standpoint, you can make money under any circumstance. Let me give you an example. Let's say the war in Iraq. So if you're investing in, for instance, making military uniform or warplanes that Lockheed Martin, Boeing, good business for you. If you're investing in logistics, good business for you. So in Liberia, whether you have protests or you don't have protests, you can still make money. Let's assume, all right, what's going on right now in Liberia, you need a lot of police equipment, right? You need the police to keep riot police gear. So if I'm an investor, that's the business I want to go into. And I can make a lot of money now because the government would sign a lot of contracts with me and to protect people. So again, you have to look at it from an economic standpoint that sometimes things are not always bad because they have a connotation. So we're not seeing protests is bad because you have it in France. So for instance, the people who make the yellow jacket, that company, that's the company I want to invest in. Or the people in Taiwan. So from an investment standpoint, you have to look. The problem in Liberia is because we don't make any of these things. So if you had a company that made police uniform, police gear, then some Liberians will be doing well. Okay, not to say we're encouraging, any violence or anything like that. We respect the fact that people have a right to protest, so long as it's done peacefully. At least that's my personal opinion. Because if the reason the protesting is because of economic conditions are poor. Right. So if the economic condition improves, then people don't have a reason to protest. They may protest for other reasons, but I think that's the main reason to protest for. The second issue is the country is so centralized. Like William ably mentioned about the California riot. I remember I was in the U.S., I was in Ohio. Companies in Ohio, they didn't fold up and leave. So because America has a decentralized economy, so while people in California may be protesting and it may be horrible, or for instance, when I live in New York City, when they had a blackout, where people were walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, it was bad for New Yorkers, but again, bus companies made money, cabs made money, and people who didn't live there, they were not affected by it. So those are the two things we have to look at when discussing, finance, economics. One, regardless of the situation, is it beneficial to your local investors or your people. And two, these things are inevitable. You're not going to have a country where nobody's going to be disgruntled at some point.
Right.
So what can we benefit, or how can we use that situation at the same time to, for instance, training for police? We don't have that. So most of the times our police and military, paramilitary, they have to go overseas. Guess what? That's a money-making business. Right. If we have former Liberian police in the U.S., which we have a lot of them, they can come together, put a company together for training. And they can be, Liberians can invest in our company, and they can have training programs where our military and paramilitary don't have to go to Israel or go to some place and spend millions of dollars. So, with this show, that's what we're focusing on.
You talk about invest. So it's important because that's what we're going to be focusing on today. But based on what you just said, it means if I'm selling cold water in Monrovia, and people are protesting, thousands of people, that's good business for me. I'm going to sell enough water.
Yep. That's good business for you. Or you have a generator, you're selling fuel. People want to stock up on fuel, just like when there's a hurricane in Florida, where I am. Home Depot, they make a lot of money. Walmart, because foods that would take 1 month to turn around, people stock up, they make a lot of money. So you have to look at it from that standpoint. We talk economics and finance. There's no right or wrong. It's just a question of where you position for your investors, and who's benefiting.
Thank you. That what Alex said, there's some truth to that. In that, yes, there's a segment of the bigger economy that will make money, that will flourish, but that's not the kind of advertisement and marketing that you want for Liberia. And we have to understand something here. Within the context of Liberia and within the context of West Africa or Africa as a whole, the word protest, riot, they go together for some reason in terms of the marketing and the branding. So whenever people outside Liberia hear that, they're not picturing people marching up and down peacefully. What they picture in their mind and what they envision is something different. They envision that is basically the water about to boil, and that is going to turn into some kind of civil unrest and uncertainty. And that has been something that we have a very hard time convincing investors that, no, this is just us doing a protest. No, to them, it's not just us doing a protest. When they see that as something more.
All right, you are talking more of the politics and the psychology of protest. We're talking business here. So,
yeah, but that impacts. What I'm saying is that that definitely impacts. Okay, so well, one more thing. Yes, definitely.
Just hold that thought. Let me go to the man whose fingerprint is on the PAPD, Mr. Depo, the policy guy. Mr. Zuo, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Good afternoon to our listener out there. How are you doing today?
We're doing excellent. This is the first Business and Economic Forum in 2020.
And Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
For Water Cooler, we are discussing the economics of protest, the economics of government reaction, and the economics of the international community intervention.
Already,
yeah, and that's in the wake of the December 30th protest, which was rescheduled to January 5 or January 6, depending on who's talking.
Yes, realistically, any disturbance in the economy, especially the small economy like Liberia, it has serious impact on production and consumption. And let's accept the fact that no matter how we look at it, whether it's peaceful, whether it's violent, whatever thing it is, Liberia economy is.
Mr. Zuo, let me interrupt you because you use the word disturbance.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah. So let me underline that it tells me that you look at the protest as disturbance.
No, it's not. And when it comes to economic disturbance, that's something is moving, but there's something is shake up. in a sense that, let's say, for example, Liberia, if you talk about the domestic side of it, is that someone who actually depend on waiters market or who had a provision shop or a store to operate. And a guy hears that there's a protest, what he's going to definitely do is to first of all think whether he should go to sell that day or not. And if he's the only guy who has in the community who has a rice store, once he stay home, many people who don't buy a bag of rice but live on cup of rice will actually go that day without buying food, and they will go without food that day. If you also have an opportunity where you also have people who are investors that are coming from abroad, for example, the country will be thinking that only one airline that will be flying in that day. Liberia does not have multiple airlines going in, so that if anything happen, I'm going to get out. So what would be the possibility of me going in? And let me wait until the protest is over and let me observe it. And all of these things are things that actually affect the economy. Besides that, one thing that is very clear is that it also bringing issue of trust, and transaction trading has to do with trust and confidence. So when people tend to lose trust in any transaction and say, look, I'm not too sure whether this thing will hold today, so I don't trust myself to go out. That is a disturbance. It hit the price. In fact, there'll be a price hike. And this is the only guy that have the commodity, there'll be a price hike and the demand will actually be increased. And at the end of the day, it affects the poor. Then the next thing that as the price increase, what will be the next thing? Majority of the people who don't have visible income that live on transfer payment, they tend to lose on their own consumption, and the economy tend to decline and contract as much as possible. So no matter what the situation is, stability is very much key to any economy. So from the government side, the government need to know that, okay, I have the stake and I'm the leader, I'm in charge of this. Let me not make this place to shake. Equally so, the protesters themselves should also understand that, okay, for today, I'm angry and I'm going to get in the street. But what if tomorrow when I go and the guys don't have food to eat, what will happen? So that's why there's a way for us to have a thin line, an equilibrium point where the negotiators have come in. So the government and the protesters should have a common ground, taking into consideration some of the demand from the citizens and demand from the protesters. So it's not something that someone will have a high position and say, oh, when there's a protest, the economy will boom, people will benefit. No matter what's the situation, you have a protest, it does not actually improve business climate.
Thank you. And William, I know you are itching to come, but let me throw this in. Alice, you muted yourself. That's why we're not hearing you.
I'm here.
Okay, before you jump in, let me throw this in, because protest is a political move. That's politics. So, and one of the goal is, and I was seeing some people that were rejoicing after on December 30th, they say, well, the protesters have won because the city is on a lockdown. So the goal of the protester there is to disrupt economic activities, so as to call attention to something. So that's the whole point. They want to lock the city down and call attention to something, to say things are not going right, and if you continue, we're going to paralyze the economy, and you're going to be unpopular because you are the one who is steering the ship. And so that's a political decision. So how do we come to the point to say, well, don't make it happen, and then government will see that too has a leverage. Oh, you want to spoil the peace? Oh, you want to spoil the economy? So I'm not even going to. So the pressure that protesters want to pile in, so to have that attention and create that awareness and put pressure on the government to do the right thing is not there, because Mr. Zhu and all these economic guys will say, well, there's a disturbance and the economy is going to contract.
Yes, the lesson, that's the reason why the government had to take responsibility that nothing that's going to be done on ground, they'll win a victory. There's no victory there for the government. And I can say this clearly that sometimes you see the first day on December 30, I saw the amount of the officers all in the street blocking, erecting checkpoint here and there. The thing about it is that even if you erect a checkpoint today, here's a guy who is the only engineer that Semenco will have, let's say Semenco engineer that's supposed to go to the cement factory to process. The man stay home. What happened to Semenco production for the day? There's a reduction in the production. And as a result, it also affected the construction industry. Even if you say at a hospital, The only doctors or specialists that are supposed to go to hospital today, and they have a lot of nurses, or they're working, of course, but they got patients that have to meet a doctor, and the doctor stay home. What happened? It also caused death. The economy is also affected. So government should not be saying that, look, we are going to be doing this thing. It should be a position where they actually will prevent protests instead of them saying we are going to do this to force it. So that's why I always say that the negotiation is very much important from the government side. It should not be more of the protesters looking for a way to negotiate.
You won't go to school, you won't be reduced, you won't evict you.
Money.
You won't kill your play for people to say, my brother, hello. You want dress to impress for men and to say that you the too fair. Look for the money.
Look for the money, man.
Money.
And I see the money behind you there, Alex Jones. Want to say welcome again to Focus on Liberia. Want to welcome all our viewers across the globe. Our topic today is on investing in Liberia, and we want to hit a little bit on foreign, diaspora, and local. So I will send it to Mr. William King, who's going to just touch on this a little bit, the topic of investment and what everything is going to include. Mr. King.
Thank you. You know, before we get into the seriousness of this topic, sometimes I realize that we have to define certain things. So when we talk and I say investment, what does that mean for us? You know, we say, look, I invested a lot of time and effort into something. I want to see a certain result. And so in this case, we talking about investing in Liberia, and we talking about, we really want to define this. Now, something that investing in Liberia, I want to caution all those who are listening. I may touch on a few tight spots, but I want to really say this because it's very critical, which is this. Someone who has never done a market, have a shop before, open up a little store, anything like that. They've never done that, and they work in the US, and they work 10, 15 years, whether they're doing security guard or they're a nurse or they're a doctor or doing different things. When you get your money and you send your money to Liberia, that $2,000 because your family or relative in Liberia say, hey, I would like to open up a small shop. And they have no experience on running a shop. And you send that money and the shop didn't materialize and money was lost. Please, you cannot blame that on the government, because we have to be fair. We have to be honest that you did not know what you were getting into, and you do not run or operate a business, that type of business. And it's the same way when we talk about housing, which is in the US, you would go and you would buy a finished house, or you engage someone that would build a house for you, a professional licensed builder and everything. They have insurance, there's bond, there's the escrow, all these things that are in place. But you would turn around and go to Liberia just because you have a piece of land, and you will ask your family members to supervise the construction, which is construction management. They have no experience doing that, and you send money home, and that project ended up costing you 3 or 4 times. And so you said, man, investing in Liberia is very hard. I sent my money over there, and that didn't materialize. So I want us to be very clear that you know, those are projects. Just because you put your money in there, that doesn't mean that that's investment. That's a gamble. That's a risk. That's something that you engage in that you had really not a whole lot of experience in, but because of your love and your passion for your country, you choose to go and you choose to build something. So you call that investment. And I think that that is not right, and that is not fair. What we're talking here, when I talk about investing, is a structure where there's a corporation, where there's experience, where there's insurance, where there's a lot of people coming together, there's expertise and so forth, and you're looking at a particular sector or a particular industry, and you choose to put money in there in a way where you're looking at a particular business, seeing if that business is generating income or if it has potential, and then you put the money in there with the hope and expectation that after all of your due diligence is going to reap some kind of reward. that is at that level that I'm really speaking about. And some of us Liberians, a lot of us, we may do that, but we do that maybe in a small silo. Like unless you know somebody, or I know somebody, or somebody else knows somebody, you don't know how the 10-unit apartment building came up. You just see it kind of coming up, springing up, and later on you find out, oh, okay, it's such and such person. Like, oh, you know what? I know that person. Oh, okay, how is it going? Well, they're just building. Like right now, I know people are building mixed-use development. They're building homes. They're building apartments and everything like that in Liberia, and they're going to be asking for some type of rents. But the market isn't there, and you might run into some vacancies. So that's investment in a nutshell. What I want to define it as. Alex, maybe you can add a few to that.
Yeah. We want Alex, and after Alex, they put so that we can lay the foundation for people, for all of us, to really enjoy the topic and get the meat out of it. Alex.
Okay, so our resident economist, Mr. Debuzo, just woke up, and he decided to kind of hit us. So I totally, agree with some of his points. But what I'm saying is that when you look at the PAPD, you find that most of the issues are what you call petty traders in Liberia. We don't have industry, at least not those that would generate mass employment and so forth. So when people talk about disruption of economic activity, when you quantify the amount of which the country loses as a result of a protest, because
you know, back to the water cooler moment.
Yeah, no, can't be there.
I will need a premise.
Come back now.
I will need a premise. I will need a premise. Because that was a response from him.
Okay.
So I think the main issue in Liberia is, again, when it relates to investment, we do not have industries. And because we do not have industries, so it affects the growth of the country. Well, we're not growing at all, or we're growing our growth is very minimal. And until you can fix that problem, whether, I don't know, protests or wherever, but I believe that that's a serious economic problem in Liberia, and there hasn't been any discussion on that. There's not much mention in any policy of government, including the PAPD. If you look at the poverty, extreme poverty rate, according to that same document, there are regions with almost 80% extreme poverty. Now, I'm wondering, how do you have 8 out of 10 people, okay, are extremely poor with no food or no means of sustenance? So that's a serious problem, and unfortunately, it is never even talked about. And this is their own document that says that much of the country, much of the region, we have extreme poverty. All right, nothing has been laid out. Instead, we're only focusing on foreign direct investment, and that has not brought down the poverty rate. It has not grew the economy. So our resident economist, maybe he can explain to us, why we haven't seen any policy to address mass employment, and why do we so much focus on foreign direct investment in the rhetoric that this is scaring investors off, when in fact, if investors were there, as they were all along the last 12 years, you still have 80% poverty rate in much of Liberia.
Mr. Zua, before you respond to that, please take some time so that we lay the premise for our topic today on investing in Liberia.
All right, thank you very much. I think I want to go in line with William in the first place before I respond to the issue raised by Alex. To be very frank, one of the challenges that we have as Liberian in the diaspora, and even say at home, is that when it comes to investment, first of all, we need to look at how we define investment, what we want to invest in. What are we taking our money to put into? What are we taking our time for? Then the next thing that is that it's always good to do the market survey, to know how useful is the venture that you want to get into. But many people will think that, oh, because they see that, let's say, a community provision shop is there and almost everyone, you see people standing before it every day, your assumption is that, oh, that shop is balling. People are buying. That's the best word they can say. Oh, it's balling. It's likely that some of those people are just, they are escorting one person to go purchase and 2-3 persons follow. It's likely that they are also having other conversation, but what you want to be doing there is to keep track of what are some of the needs, some of the things that are consumables in the community, what people need there, then you go into that kind of goods to buy. And like that, you have an opportunity to make money, to have return on your investment. And one thing I see is that many Liberians will always like to go into a business that already existing without looking for a market niche. If you want to be a very good, person into investment, is that you need to look for your market niche. For example, you want to look at the market in Liberia and say, maybe I want to go into the sugar industry. What's the consumption level of sugar? And you go and do an assessment to say, sugar is being imported. Which country have the highest number of imports of sugar in the country? Is it from Brazil? Is it from China? And if that's the case, what are the opportunities? So you do comparison of prices, international market and the regional market, and see. If I happen to import from Brazil, what would be the cost of import, the freight and everything, and versus what if I go to China or I get it from Nigeria or somewhere? What are the possibilities? These are the basic assessment that you have to do before you go into the investment. And if you are here as a Liberian, you want to invest back home, you want to first of all ask the relative or whoever you want to give the money to. Oh, you want to do scratch card business? Why are more people going to the scratch cards? And one thing that there is that are there people who are buying this scratch card? Many people just do money exchange. If you live in a community where you don't have many people employed and not receiving foreign exchange or US dollar, if you open a foreign exchange bureau in the yard, how will you get customers? It's a difficult thing. So it's always good to do market study to know where the market is and how to go into it. So as Liberians in the diaspora, it's sometimes good. Why it's true that you want to give money to relative back home and think that, okay, you asked me to do business, so here's the money. Go ahead and do the business. It's good to ask some pointing questions that will make you to have return on your own investment. Because the time taken to work here, the hourly job to send the money back home, you want to get something out of it. But back to Alex's issue, Alex, I think realistically, you need to look at the Pro agenda very well. I don't want to be taking credit for anything because it's part of the consultant. It's a vision from the government, and this is what they want to be doing. But there are a lot of things that are outlined there that are very useful for Liberia when it comes to investment. There are so many industries that you have that partners will want to go into, or investors want to go into, and Liberians themselves want to go into it. And they are all outlined in the Pro agenda. In fact, one of the things that we say over there is that there are structure that we have to be looking at. The small and medium-sized businesses, we made a proposal for it because that's one thing that you got majority of the people are into small, medium enterprise businesses. That's bigger chunk of the Liberians are in there. What kind of market are they doing? If they are doing trading, and what kind of area they are trading, and which country is our trading partners? You do assessment on that and still report and tell the people, say, look, I see you importing more from China, but Korea can offer this more than what you're getting from China. These are some of the things that the market surveyor would be doing to look at it and say, look, how do we boom the what? It's the small and medium enterprise, industry. The next thing that there is that maybe some of the goods that they are importing is if it is produced locally and at a cheaper price, in terms of comparative advantage analysis, you realize that if we produce the goods locally in Liberia versus importation, then there's no need for us to import it. Because of time for production or 3-month period for production, we can go into this venture and people identify that as an investment and go into that investment and do it. For example, pepper. People import pepper from Guinea. Most of the Liberians import pepper from Guinea, but pepper takes 90 days. If we happen to say we are going to be reducing pepper import by 10% in the next 90 days, what do we do? So now let's invest into pepper production. What will be required? Is it labor intensive? If it's labor intensive, then you go into that. If it's capital intensive, then you look for capital or equipment that is required to do that. So it's not something that it cannot be detailed in the Pro agenda, but it's also there. So I want you to look at it from the perspective that this is a proposal for development. It's not a programmatic area that is detailed to say, okay, you need to go this. If you invest 10,000, this is the amount you're going to get. It's a policy framework that give guide to the government and give a guide to the private sector and also the international partner to know how to develop their plan and investment in the economy. So we should not look at it as a comprehensive document that give you or a Bible that leads you to make a decision. It is just a guide. So that's why I want to make a clarification. Yes.
What you brought up, right, is very important, and that is so true. Now, I want to take a second and just dissect something that you just said, right? So when you look at sometimes you have to spoon feed certain information. You have to spoon feed, or you have to have that information available in a certain format and so forth that the investor can then go out there and execute. So when we look at investing, so you have two pieces. You have one piece where it's the CEO or the manager or the director or the worker, like the market survey and everything. You have this business. And so you're taking the propos policy. So you have that propos policy and say, hey, you know what? The guy said pepper is something good. So I want to go and look into pepper a little bit more and come up with my own strategy and everything like that, how I can begin to invest in this pepper industry. Fair? Now, what we're saying is that once that is done, that you have that information now, and you say, okay, you know what, this is how I can enter this market. This is how I can make it really happen and so forth. What we're saying is that there is nothing out there that allows other Liberians who maybe would like to maybe just put in their $5 or $20 and buy a small piece of share of that pepper company that you have. There's nothing there that's available. And that's the type of information or format that we are competing against. And that's what I'm saying, is that we are competing against people who already have some of that stuff already kind of a little bit out there. And we are at a great disadvantage, because even what you mentioned, right, unless I know Depu, unless I know you and say, hey, put me in touch with that guy or do something like that, right? If I don't know, I don't know who's doing what and who's who in the Liberia context. And we are at a serious disadvantage because there's no transparency when you compare to some other country.
Thank you, William. And we're gonna get to that point of ways in which we can invest and where to find it. But I want to take a few minutes to lay the premise, because I don't know in detail what you guys talking about, and anyone can talk about this.
I think you get more comfortable.
Right. So Depo, you made mention of a few things when you were talking, and I want any one of you can respond to this. You said to do a market study, because a lot of us, we are guilty of this, sending money to our relations back home to make business. And you said they need to do market study. Let me give you 2 examples that I encountered. A family member called me and said, Brother Dennis, I want to sell gas. Gas. So I said, what is the analysis that you did that make you to arrive at that decision to sell gas? And you know the response I got? You don't want to help me last day. Number 2. So that's 1. So we don't. So we will tell us about that market study and how we can do it. Number 2, there are some of our relations that ask us to say, okay, give me $300. I want to make Doga Flair business. And to them, the Doga Flair bag costs $300 or $200. I'm just throwing numbers out there. To them, that's the entire business. So when I went, I was there. So I said, he said, when you go, tell my uncle to send me $300. I want to do Doga Flair business. So I said, okay, how much for the bag? How much is this? So the money alone, so they just look at the price of that bag of Doga Flair and ask for the money. They don't take into consideration the expense they're going to cover. They don't take into consideration where they're going to store that, to and fro, going to the market. Somebody's going to push that in a wheelbarrow and you have to pay it. They don't do any of that. So we send that $300 expecting that business to make profit. At the end, the business does not make profit and we think they ate the money. But sometimes, because they do not give us an actual business plan or do that market study, we think that they have been corrupt. So how do we go about this market study, this market analysis, this business plan, all these things that will give us a picture of what area we can invest in or not?
Thank you. I think it's one area that my project is going to be focusing on with Liberia Marketing Association for the next 6 months, hopefully in Liberia. One thing that is very much clear there is that people have the potential to make money or to sell, and so most of them have the desire to really work. But the question there is that you should sit down and first of all know, what do I want to do? If I'm going to go into this venture, what's the return on it? So the example you're giving, the used clothes is something very, very interesting that you need to look at the market. The location of the used clothes seller, one of the things that there is that once they are clustered to one location, it helps buyers to go to that location to see what it is, but it equally so bring competition in the pricing. Therefore, the sellers themselves will always be in the position to actually negotiate with buyers. And that's one thing I know about used clothes market in Liberia. So for that reason, there are categories of used clothes sellers. So you want to do it, you ask the person, what are you going to be selling? Are you going to be doing underclothes for women? Or are you going to be doing jeans trousers? So depending the kind of clothes you have, then you will know how the market, how the sales is going to be like. It's likely that not all of the time you have people buying, let's say, jeans trousers. It might be helpful in the rain season, or it might be helpful during dry season. So you got to be looking at seasonality of the market. And the person should be in the position to go and walk around and see those who are already into the business to ask and say, well, how do you do this? Where do you get your goods from? So you take into consideration even the location rental. How much will it cost you to get a table? And if you sit there, how long will it take you? And you look at the profit margin. If you're going to get $200 profit from the business, for example, and you're going to be spending about $175, meaning $25 profit you're going to be making. And if your saving is $25 the entire month, at the end of the day, it means that you're going to be operating at a serious disadvantage. So you have to be looking at the market and study it carefully. What I've always observed and tell most of students that are doing business in Liberia, that are studying business, I always tell them is that you need to be very practical. Most of the theory you read in a book does not really give you the reality in life. So I will give an example with, I always, Ganta is a commercial hub, it's a commercial center now in Liberia. You sit with most of these young guys that are doing business over there, they never got degree in college. Majority of them didn't go to college. Some of them actually, got a business established when it boomed, then they decided to go to college just to back up their asset to say, okay, they've got a degree. But the many of them do a practical thing. So if someone is going to be selling gasoline, how much are you going to be buying the gas from the pump? And how much are you going to be selling on the side? If your location is such a way that you don't have many people in that location, then you don't need to go into that venture. I can tell my relatives clearly that if that is not helpful now, I cannot deal with you. You are not convinced me enough. So the best thing I can do, it will be better for me to give you your food money than to say I'm going to give you money to go into business. So these are some of the things we need to be doing. We need to, in fact, the location is very much important, the price as well. So marketing is not just about, I'm sitting down behind the market table, but what am I getting from behind the market table is something that you need to help the common people to make them to understand.
Alex?
I mean, I find it very difficult to respond to some of these things because, first of all, we shouldn't be depending on petty traders and people selling gas stations on the sidewalk, whether it's in Ganta or Monrovia, to build our economy and to provide employment. That was done during the pre-industrial revolution over 200 years ago. That's how economies were concentrated on farmers, one person go and pick and set up a farm or cassava, whatever. Okay, today we have the technological advancement, we have the knowledge base, you have the expertise where people don't need to be selling gas by the wayside, which is dangerous. I wouldn't encourage anybody, or people shouldn't be selling fish in a market with no cold or environment where you can have bacteria, all right, infested and all that kind of stuff. If we want to help our people back home, let us invest in a proper mechanism where you can have, for instance, like in farming, like what China and all these countries did, you have a co-op where everybody can come together and they can create an environment. The government put some money in there to local investment banks, development banks, and you have a system where people can sell their products in a safe environment. They can actually make some good profit. You're not going to conduct market study for somebody going to sell banana. Because the conduct a market study alone, it doesn't make any sense. The problem here is that the people who were responsible to do this market research, they've been paid in Liberia. That's the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, which is under the Ministry of Finance. That's the Ministry of State for Economic Affairs. There are millions of dollars. You go to the budget item in Liberian budget, you will see there's money allocated. Whether the Deputy Minister for Planning, the Minister of Commerce and Industry, these are the people who are paid every month $5,000 to $15,000 to come up to develop ways where we are not depending on petty traders to go. The woman put her get in the morning, she got 2-3 kids, she got to go all the way to Nukutan or somewhere in Riverview, get banana, take those babies on the back. When those, that woman should be home, taking care of her family and so forth. The kids can't go to school. We shouldn't be encouraging these things. Okay, and I'm totally opposed to it. We should have a plan where we have a system where we're not saying everybody's going to do industrialized business, but those things should be seriously controlled where you can get the market women together who wants to do banana, right? You can get some money from the University of Liberia or a team of people who will organize it. They will buy in huge quantities. They will have one person take the transport the banana. They will have several ships in the market. We'll make sure that the conditions are right. These people will have insurance, maybe a daycare. We can do those things. But we refuse to do it. And the people who are being paid to do that, they say, oh, no, they're the World Bank, can't help these people. That's nonsense. Dennis, Liberians, we have people like this. We will have all these educated people graduating every year in business. They say they got MBA, they say they got master's degree, some of them PhD. And we still depending on petty traders. The rate of the poverty rate in the world between 1990, and I can show you guys, have declined. Okay? Over 1 billion people have moved from poverty in the 90s. Liberia is one of the few countries where poverty has increased, according to the same study here, that the average poverty rate, the lowest poverty rate in Liberia, all right, we should say it's Monrovia, is 30%. Okay? Places are high as 80%. Petty trading is not going to solve the problem. You can't become a banana republic and expect to, build industry and build roads. Where are you going to get the capital to maintain those roads? So that's the problem. The problem is we don't want to, do like the rest of the world. We want to stay operate like we're in the pre-industrial revolution. And we want to expect now, for everybody to just say, well, that's how it's done in Liberia. And unfortunately, it's disheartening. We shouldn't be operating like that. We shouldn't be giving our family, they should be in school, young men who are in Liberia, whether it's in Ganta, in school age, they should be either going to the university, going to school. Our elderly women should be home taking care of the kids or learning a trade or working in a light industry, or if they want to go into agriculture, in a safe environment where they can feed their family. These people go through hell. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. William, before I come to you, I want Mr. Zuo to respond. Ellis is saying the way our people live in Yahweh Meshlon 40 years ago, it shouldn't be that way, man.
Yeah, I was laughing because sometimes I like Ellis' engagement is exuberant about the discussion sometimes. And I think I would just tell him that maybe he just been from Ghana to United States, and so he sees the environment more like something that's well structured. So he always discusses it from this perspective of why it is here and why it's out to be here and all of these things, but not taking into consideration why it ought to be there and why it is there. You know, I want to also really look at the point of discussion. He's agree with me, and some disagree with me. But one of the things that I want you to understand, we are not only talking about just petty traders. We talk about investment. You can go be a petty trader, can still look for a way to invest on something. You're talking about large investment, we need to discuss it. That's why I asked earlier, what kind of investment we are discussing about. But if you say the Liberians that are there, in terms of their livelihood, how do they keep themselves, how do they sustain their family, where government will not create jobs, government can only provide the policy framework and the economic environment, the business climate, so that businesses can actually function well and operate, is one thing that government will have to be doing. But what is very much important here is that all developing countries have actually dealt with what we call petty traders, and these are most of the developing nations have the informal sector of the market. The informal economy is function more than the formal economy, because you see, majority of the people will be found in the informal sector. So what government policy usually do to target is to see how to graduate people from the informal sector, which is the trader, the petty trader you're talking about. How can they build their capacity and link them to a bigger market, and they graduate them from the informal sector to the formal sector? And these are some of the things that you need to be discussing. But again, I talked about private sector development last time. When we get to that, I can give you a detail of what are some of the procedures and challenges that Liberia face, and in fact, the whole ECOWAS region, what they face. But I can tell you that, at least, I'm not talking about just, we are not focusing on the petty traders. But the major thing that there is that the petty traders should also understand what they trade in. If a man is trading, let me say you're mistaken. There are many guys today that are going to Dubai, that are going to China and other places, but they started from selling the gas from Guinea border to Ganta, go to Guinea and get a gas, and today they've got a motorbike, and from the motorbike, these guys went and bought car, and today they got truck running, and they went to China and they go to Korea. So you don't expect everybody to just sit down and write an investment plan and say, I want to go to the bank to get a loan. Where do you say, which bank is giving loan to business people in the country? The people are dealing with susu, which is a Liberian way, saving method, rotation saving. People do their susu in a community and get an investment capital for the little business they will be doing, and invest it. That's what they do. So you're talking about the former economy of America and compare that with Liberia. I think our discussion should be, the audience we are speaking to are people that we need to understand them. So I don't disagree with you in terms of, large investment, infrastructure, and all of these things. But before you get there, we need to look at a systematic procedure. Majority of the people you see them in poverty, whether it's because they don't have jobs. How do they earn income? Some of them earn income from what? Trading. Okay. And the trading they need to be doing that. Why it's good there is to teach them, first of all, how to trade better, how to make profit, how to increase their trade volume, how to actually save, and how to invest. And these are some of the things that you need to be looking at. The Ministry of Commerce you talk about, Ministry of Commerce has the Department of Small Business Administration. And that itself is another project that came from the WTO to see how best to actually register and help small petty traders, small businesses, so they can train them and graduate them to the formal sector. That's another way. And you need to have a system in place to help them develop.
Thank you.
Wait.
No, wait, William, because I want Alex to respond, because this is the second time. The last time, William, I apologize because I was coming to you to discuss so that we can get our outline for the rest of the investment topic. That's what I want you to do. But let Alex respond to this. Alex, first of all, the last time we were here, someone said Alex was 5 years old when he came to the States, so he doesn't understand what is going on.
First of all, so I'd like to respond to both of those. I lived in Liberia in 1990 to 2006. I believe that was the worst part of the Civil War. I was going to school and I was a petty trader. I sold coal in Liberia, okay, including all the way in Banga. I used to go to Clearstream and buy coal, and started as a businessman, was able to employ people and even buy a truck. So most of the people who talking about, like, because I, tend to say that this is not how everyone, we shouldn't be in the same place we were when I was in school, in high school in Liberia. They don't know what they're talking about. What I'm trying to propose here is this, okay? Yes, the United Nations report on poverty and a strategy, growth, investment, insurance. If you go to the line right there, it says half of the, right there, according to the most recent estimate,
you can share your screen again because you are sharing something different. So I stop it.
Okay. Okay, fine.
Make sure you open the screen you want us to see before you share it.
You got it? You can see my screen?
It's okay, now we see it.
Okay. Okay, in 2015, 10% of the world population that live on less than $1.90, which is, of course, the average poverty rate in extreme poverty rate, or compared to 11%, right? So in any case, that rate for the world, poorest people is around 11%, okay? I would like us to go to Liberia and show you what the rate of poverty in Liberia and almost during the same period. Let me get this up. Let me just give me a second here. Let me close this up because I can't see. Anyways, I'll stop here. Okay. Well, while we're seeing with the case in Liberia, just give me a second, Dennis. Okay, there we go. So with the case in Liberia, right, we remember that number, the world poverty rate dropped from 11% to 10%, which is unacceptable by any measurement. I'm reading from the poverty poor plan here with that. This is the statistic. Look at Liberia. This is extreme poverty. Same measurement. Northwestern, 60. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. 66% extreme poverty, okay, Northwestern. Montreal County, which is the lowest poverty rate in Liberia, again, this is the poor plan, 32%. You got in places like where Dennis comes from, 78% extreme poverty rate, and each of those charts. The only place that poverty reduced by a small percentage was in Montreal County. The green is the year before 2014 to 2016. They all increased 66 to 73%. In this area, North Central, 72% to 82%. This is in 2016. There were no protests. Okay. In 2016, we had around $16 billion. We had metal steel. We had all of these foreign investments. Okay. But one thing we still had in common: we never had any industry. Okay. The point I'm making here, I'm not saying that everybody is going to go and make a sophisticated business plan. But I'm telling you that Liberia cannot depend on somebody selling cold water or somebody selling fire coal or coal bed like I was, right, 20 years ago, is going to reduce the poverty of the people. It's not going to happen. And this is the only plan that we still going by either foreign investment. Everything here, there's no actual indication of how Liberians can build industry. If you want to sell pepper or bitter ball, do it on a large scale. You can still have petty traders, but at least they will not be in a condition where they will have to pay for their own way, go to the farm, 10 people selling pepper next to each other. We should be much more a little more sophisticated than that. And this is the lack of our planners, the lack of our economic planners, the lack of our universities, all right, and the lack of our government investment into one, education, business education, business investment. Every country in the world finances investment. Every country. They give money to whether small or large and medium industry through banks and loans. It's guaranteed mostly. The housing industry in America, the FHA loan, all right, is guaranteed by the federal government, Ginnie Mae, Freddie Mae. With all that guarantee, housing or what you call foreclosure will probably be about 25% or 30%. Our government is inept because they have no idea that their responsibility is to make sure that one, there's financing to build this industry, and two, they have to create the environment for people to come from petty trading towards establishing the industry. I'm not comparing Liberia with America. I'm comparing Liberia with Rwanda. I'm comparing Liberia with Ghana. I'm comparing Liberia with Seychelles. I'm comparing Liberia with Botswana. If you go to Botswana, they have industry. Even the diamond industry that they make there, they do some of the cutting and the polishing. The government has shares in it. The government build the mines or two with the beer. They have a partnership. They own and they support their people. While Liberian policymakers still spend on foreign investment and let the people do their own petty trading. That's the part I can get in my head.
Thank you.
Let me
read a few comments from our Facebook, and then I'll bring William into the conversation so we can start the. Even though this is healthy, but let me read a few comments. I will bring William in the conversation. We have callers on the line already. So the first one comes from Martha Son T-Man. I think this is Maurice Man. He said the size of our economy gets affected by every dollar lost. That's when we were talking about the economics of the protest. CJ Johnson Jr. said, this is the type of show I would love to watch and support. Thank you, CJ, and welcome to the Business and Economic Forum. Jimmy Eastman, he said, Mr. Zuo, I differ from the concept of comparative advantage because when it comes to your staple food, for example, if you defer that to a less costly producer, then you become dependent on external production for a vital resource. Similarly, other inherent weaknesses exist through deferring production. This should be examined on a case-by-case basis and not taken on face value. Batom Kula says, I have yet to see any books on or documents on the Liberian supply chain in any area of business. Alexander Koe says, consulting programs to capacitate young entrepreneurs develop their business can help. I don't know if I read that right. Consulting programs to capacitate young entrepreneurs develop their business can help. People have business ideas but don't know how to manage and maintain a business. There should be coaching programs for small businesses. Josh Toto, can we use the Fulani people business model as a case study to empower our people? Those people will come to Liberia, start a small business, and next you see them expanding in our market. Last but not the least, Bob Spencer Austin said, this is the right forum to discuss the way forward of the Liberian economy because those of us in the diaspora are considering investing, but the issue, what is the government policies on small and medium business that will make a quick impact on the economy? Those are a few comments from our viewers. Mr. King.
Dennis, I have something to say, but let Depu comment because I think he has something he wanted to comment back to Alex. Depu, go ahead, then I will come on after you.
Thank you. Alex was giving the poverty map, which of course is a very good background document that we use for the preparation of the proposal. But one thing I want to let you know is that if you don't identify the needs, you will not be in a position to make a better recommendation. And you need to read further. I'm not here to defend this document, but if you read further where you had a pathway to economic growth for Liberia, you see where we say private sector development. These are areas for me, I took time, I don't need to say, but the reality that they look at where we talk about labor and capital intensive investment in infrastructure is where government, for example, road project and this and that, you will see that government contract the services of citizens and that is bringing income and real job for people. We also talk about where you talk about the outgrower farmers in terms of the oil palm industry. How do you really give our opportunity for those who have land so that they can do the outgrower farming and sell the oil to the larger company? These are opportunities. But one thing that is very much important for us to look at here, we are not, my point I was saying comparative advantage is that we need to look at the cost of production. We mentioned rice. Rice is very much cardinal, it's very much crucial for me. I said it, I don't care how much and how long will it take until Liberia can now learn how to do mechanized farming and produce rice, especially on lowland opportunity we have, will still be, used by international partners, and in fact, our trading partners will change. Any disturbance in the economy will also affect the rice production, the price of rice in our country. So we need to focus on that. In fact, one of the recommendations there is to see whether Firestone, instead of Firestone importing rice for its worker, can they utilize the soil, the seed land, the uncultivated land that in Firestone can be used for rice production, so they can still feed the country and also supply the country. These are some of the recommendations and alternative sources of investment that are also listed in the document. But you need to also look at what we call public-private partnership. What are some of the important investments that we need to be looking at? I like the way he started it. You look at Liberians taking ownership of the economy. It has to be done in such a way that people with the investment capital, they do capital pool. We had a discussion last night just about the energy sector. Just one man say, you know what, there's a shortage of energy in this region, and you have an energy connected to Liberia, but it's not being distributed. And one man just went there and distributed. How can other people join such a person to do it? That's the energy side. What's about rice production? There are other people, Jenny Cooper and the rest of the people, Fabra, they are doing rice processing and rice production. How do we really come along and say, you know what, what's the market for the rice? The price of production in Liberia is very high, but how can we come in? These are the opportunities that we need to be discussing in terms of how we can improve our economy. To be very frank, there is no structure in place for now to say that, look, you have this setup and this is the system you need to follow. It's all about how individual and community and the Liberian people, partners can join and say, we're going to an investment. So you need to study it. Let me say one thing here. We shouldn't overlook the potential of the young Liberians. The guy who talked about the capacity of the young people. I tell you, there are some young people there. Just let's look at the communication, the internet service. They use the mobile money system to transfer money from customer to them, but they're also using the same booth. They have a small booth. They'll be doing money exchange. They'll be doing mobile money. They also do internet service there for people to access internet and also browse. If a young man who just sit down home and organize this and making money out of that, you think if this guy is given the opportunity, his market improve, he's able to actually invest into a bigger capital. He's given the opportunity. Just train him how to first of all manage his cash flow, how to save, what are the inventory he take care of. These are some of the simple things. And the document you're talking about, talk about business development services. We first of all look at so many strategies there. We talk about public-private partnership. We talk about private sector finance development. We talk about macro and medium size project. We talk about also what business development services. That's another thing that many Liberian professionals that are here and that are in the diaspora can go into. And say how many businesses that are operating in this county, how are they managing? Who is keeping their books? These are things that we need to be doing to improve the system.
Thank you. Depu, thank you very, very much. Alex, thank you so much. We have a serious problem in Liberia with implementation or bringing this concept or this idea, Depu, that you just said. We have a challenge with bringing it to the market. We are very challenged. We do not know, or we have not figured out how to do it. And the solution is right in front of us. By the way, when you're talking about professional organizations, there's the accounting firm, Baker Tilly. Baker Tilly is an accounting firm that has a branch in Liberia, by the way. and they are professionals who are trained in the U.S. for accounting. We have many Liberians who are home who have received their professional education here. But the issue is how, like you mentioned, Janine Rice Farm, right? Who knows about it, and has the government said, hey, you know what? If this woman is looking, or this company is looking for $1 million to expand, right? If you Liberians put in this money, we will guarantee maybe a 7% interest rate because we want to grow our rice industry. Now, the government hasn't done that, and I don't know if they're going to do it or if they're not. But there's nowhere, anywhere on the internet or anything where there's been any structure where Liberians who would want to help expand that business, they have the ability to. Nowhere. Now, I want to share something with everyone. This is for our viewers. I want to compare something when I talk about how we as Liberians, we are not given a chance to be stakeholders. I want to show you what I mean by we are not given a chance to be stakeholders, where the rubber hits the road. I want to show you something. Now, this is what I want to show you is I want to show you Ghana National Investment Commission. Okay, I want to show it to you. Here we go. Where is, hold on. Okay, please, for you all who are listening, please, you bear with me, please. I'm begging you, please. Now, this is Ghana. This is the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, where they're promoting businesses in Ghana. So any business that comes on here, you've been looked at and vetted by the Ghana government. So let's look at tourism and hospitality at the local level, right? Let's look at tourism and hospitality at the local level.
Are you there? Are you getting it right?
It looked like we are having some problem with William sharing the screen. So you can come in, right? We're having some problem with William sharing his screen right there.
Okay.
But what he was trying to do is to compare what is there.
That's a very good example he's giving.
Yeah, Depu, your audio is having problem as well.
Yeah, I don't know, but are you getting me?
Okay, we're getting you now.
Okay, that's a very good example he's giving. It's one thing that I said the last time, the National Investment Commission, NIC website in Liberia is something that all of this information, in terms of communication flow, these are things that need to be done. Investment promotion is very much important for any country. And people would definitely take delight in going to visit your country depending on what you have in terms of promotion information. I accept that, and I say that we need to do more. I see people making comment about how we, the diaspora, will wait for government. And I want to just encourage our viewers and listeners that for Ghana to pick up, for Ghana to reach where it is, and some of the research work done, the Ghanaian professionals themselves, in fact, it came a time that the same liquidity challenge we're having, Ghanaian banks were having it, and Ghanaians were able to invest or save certain portion of their income. The professional association save it back into the banking system to actually serve as a buffer. Liberians, what is very much important here is that Having the right institution in place, having the right people with the right credibility to build trust is one thing that we need to be looking at. And sometimes when you are discussing economics in terms of efficiency level, it depends on the credibility of the individual and the ability, the capacity, the skill level of people in charge of policy. If you have a weaker people with a limited skill, it also affects the policy implementation. So if you want to invest back home, one thing that is very much important is to test the system and see how best you can use the local people, relative, family member, or partners. When they were raising the issue of Fabra, Fabra is a very good project. Mrs. Cooper, she has done extremely well in terms of rice investment in rice, but she does not have the capital to do all she wants to do. She can get a lot of rice from the local farmers, but the processing, it costs her more money. So it's something that the government need to also support that. We have also recommended that to the government, that people like that, how do you really invest? You say $2 million you put on the side and say, now we're going to support people who are already doing this work and to ensure that they are going to sell our, it's like subsidized method, and they're going to be selling our local, cheaper price to the farmers. Consumers. That is also a good opportunity. So all of these things that I think that we need to be looking at. I think the private sector growth and development forum should be something that we can focus on for the next 2 weeks. So look at the various sector, how do we expand it, what are the expansion opportunity, what are some of the constraints are there. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me bring in our caller. I've been waiting for 20 minutes now to chime in the discussion. After that, Alice can come in. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Hey, John, do you hear me?
Yes.
This is Eastman calling from Washington, D.C. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Jimmy. Welcome to Focus on Liberia, as always. Your question or comments?
As always, it's rich, very rich discussion, Mr. Zul, you're a pure economist. Every time I hear you talking, I just think back all the time. And I notice that Alex is more of a financier. But you hit it on the nail. We have to make a baseline. We have to start with the existing market, that what we have, okay? And reason from there. And I believe in pragmatism and in not labeling. We have to look at the best way to get our economy started. Liberians typically are not good merchants. They're not like the Madingos, like the Fulas, who have been historically good merchants. Even the past administrations, going down to the 50s, all of them were office people. Very few entrepreneurs. Right now, if you examine our economy, you'll find out that most of it is in the hands of Lebanese and other traders from foreign land. So what do we do as to take ownership, like Mr. Zuo talking about? Government, he said about they can't create jobs. No, but we could go partner with other companies and invest in various industries with the intent to eventually completely turn over to private enterprise. But at this stage, we have to take a page from Rawlings' book or from China's book that use government investment in the private sector to promote it to a level until the people, the citizen themselves, are capable enough to run it. Okay? Now, like I said, I don't believe in labels. If this is the thing that will work for us, yes. But at this stage, we are too weak, and we lack the entrepreneurship. We lack the skills and the human capacity. So we have to develop that before we can really have a robust economy. And the government needs to seek partners to go hand in hand in building industries. Okay? And we will have to make some guarantees. But one more thing you said, Mr. Zul, execution. I went to a seminar the other day. We got 4 disciplines. Execution is one thing. It's very difficult. You can come up with a plan, but to execute it is always where the rubber meets the road, and that is another challenge. What are the challenges we're going to meet ahead that will make the execution of our plans challenge. If we don't examine that and have a way of measuring our success, one of the disciplines of execution is to measure your success. Have milestones that you can say, are we going in the right direction? Where do we need to change? But definitely, to own our economy, the government's going to have to take the bull by the horns. Liberians themselves are not capable at this stage. That's my input.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Alex,
Okay.
Gentlemen, can you hear me?
That was a very good point.
Gentlemen, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So when you talk, and that's a very good point. I'm a finance guy, and so we focus on actual investment and return. We measure and we, determine where to invest, how to invest, what's the return rate, and things like that. The economic side is more of a macro researching, and policy and things like that. Anyway, here's the issue here in Liberia. And let's go back past this government, before this government, all right? Here's the Bureau of State Enterprise, right? If you're looking at my screen, can you please mute your screen if you're not speaking? Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet. You got to start sharing it again.
Okay. There we go. So we have a Bureau of State Enterprise in Liberia. Okay. And that bureau, as I look at it from the budget, and this is the 2018, 2019, but if you go all the way back to like 2016, 17 on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, you know what these people did? Those are the things where when I get upset and call people idiots, right? Then Dennis come at me.
Yeah, don't call
because
them.
that's what they are. That's what they are. Economic idiots. China is the richest country in the world because China has the biggest state-owned enterprises. The China Construction Bank is a state-owned bank. Okay, the China Agriculture Bank is a state-owned bank. Okay, the China Import-Export is a state-owned. China uses the state-owned enterprises to finance all the other economy and to finance the economic activity in the private sector. Now, what the American and Ellen Johnson do during a period of 12 years, they took all the money that's supposed to go to Agriculture Bank, that's supposed to go to National Health, because they're all state-owned enterprises, right? And they only left, in some cases, $127,000, the whole entire for the Administration of Management, 2016. 2018, 129, up to 2018. So there's no money in the one industry, in the one bureau in Liberia that is supposed to make sure that jobs are created in farming, that in these industries are built and maintained. And if you go there, this is the industry that's supposed to do that, according to our constitution, the Bureau of State Enterprises. Okay, why would it do something like that? Now you go and look at the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs and see how much millions of dollars. All right, and I won't bore you guys, but I just want to make a point. So when Mr. Zua and other people tell me the studying area and they're looking into things, how long would it 120, how many years to look at what? There is nothing to look into. If you want to know how economies are built, you can just go on the internet and look at Ghana. Look at how much money Ghana puts into the state-owned enterprises. Look at Rwanda. See, Rwanda is not taking money and putting it into Paul Kagame's Ministry of State. The money in Rwanda, if you look at the proportion of budget, what it goes into? It goes into industry, tea, coffee. If you go to your grocery stores, you can see those things. Those are not private investors that gathered for years and went to Rwanda. No, those are what the state invested through their central bank to give these industries low loans and give them the ability, even in America and Europe, the cow industry, the farming industry, they are all subsidized. And if these people if they call themselves people in finance and they don't know it for 12 years, that there's no country on earth that does not subsidize the industry, including Germany, France, UK, all this stuff. And they will come and tell me and you and I that we shouldn't depend on the government. Let us get together and finance the economy. And they will take all of the money in the resources, the $500 budget, for which about 200 or 300 of it, what they call the wage bill. And the majority of that bill, that amount, goes towards paid travel. Zero goes in fact, they shut down the agriculture bank. What's the explanation for that? What do we need to study, and what common sense don't we have to know that if you want to have mechanized farming in Liberia, the bank that's supposed to do it, you don't shut it down, defund it, and leave $127,000 every year for 12 years. So they are economic idiots. And then I see them on Facebook, and they're talking about we reduce the poverty rate from 60% to 59% in 12 years, and we increase attendance, school attendance. That's what finance ministers are supposed to be doing. When the rest of the world poverty rate, including West Africa, is lower than what, 30 and 20%, and they will boast on these things. So it's a complete madness. We don't need to study nothing. The information is there. We have money that goes to the budget. It just needs to be appropriated to the right place.
Thank you.
Okay.
William, you were trying to make a point.
Yeah, I wanted to make this a point. According to what Alex is saying, look, I think it's about $1.5 million. That's what I think they had set aside for some agriculture stuff. That's according to Minister Thomas Tway. I think he had something where he said we have maybe $1.5 million to look at agriculture. I don't know if that was just from the investor side or from the industry side, something along that line. But I'm not sure about that. But if that's the case, then that's the issue. But that's what he said according to his interview. $1.5 million.
He said, go to the budget, go to the Liberian budget, and see if there's $1.5 million allocated for investment in agriculture. Because if there is, it should be in the budget line.
I know that. But let me just say this: that wherever that money was coming from, I think we can all agree that if it was only 1.5, we know that that's not enough. Now, to get back to my point that I wanted to make, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I want to share my screen, and I want to show something on my screen. Okay, gentlemen, this is the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. Okay, if you notice what's going on here, they have basically listed out. This is tourism now. These are companies in Ghana, and they're saying, look, we have a need for our investment. We want 1.9 million, we want 840 million, we want 106 million, we want 800 million, whatever it is. We put it out here. Okay, this is what it is, US dollars. So you click on this company, you click on them, and it takes you to and on that page for this company, you can contact them and you can begin maybe engaging with them and maybe having a conversation, whether you want to invest or not, you want to do capital pool or anything like that, at least.
You having a problem with your connection?
Particular company in that industry.
Man does not have big data. I mean, data too small.
Yeah.
No, that is just something that is.
How much data you pay for, man? You need to buy. You got to call.
What we call from our end is you structure some.
He's busy. He's not getting it.
Something you have, and this is what they structure it. Data right in Liberia. From the Liberia side, it's our investment website. It's okay. I would just stop the sharing right now because I don't know why, but it keeps It keeps acting up. Sorry. So we don't have anything that, even if we wanted to do our capital pool, therefore, even if we wanted to actually do that, what I'm saying is that give us the option. That's all I'm saying, is that give, like, the government, when people say they're not enabling the environment, when they say they're not giving the enabling environment, this is what they're talking about. They're not talking about the
All right. It looks like William is joining us from Monrovia.
Where's all of that? Yeah, he's done it. William.
Thank you. Yeah.
William,
you join up for the Ministry of Finance?
William, all the money from all the money you get from True Work Party, you can buy data.
Well, at least the money we take, we contribute to the economy, and we are fighting the cause of the people. Know, so even though it's not working good, we still putting the money in there. So, gentlemen, sorry. For some reason, what I wanted to show, I'll just not show it anymore because I think that it's kind of acting up. But basically, Depu, what I was saying is that if you look at the Ghana Investment Commission, they have the industries listed out, they have companies, and they have the amount of money those companies are looking for, right? And anybody around the globe can go there and say, hey, I want to invest in Ghana. This is it. Okay, I see it. This is what they're asking for. I want to talk to that company, and then they can go a little bit further. Now, if you compare that to the rice company in Liberia, you look on our investment commission site, right? Now, the finance ministry, Thomas Tue, Minister Tue, he actually mentioned that in his dialogue. He knows Janine, he knows about that rice company, right? They have not said, look, as a government, we don't need to put that 1.5 million. We just need to say, hey, what we're gonna do, we're gonna guarantee the loan, the interest rate, if someone wants to invest in this company for a little bit, for maybe 3 or 4 years. I'm not saying forever. And then Liberians here, we say, oh, okay, the government is saying that they've put aside this amount of money so that when I invest, if this company cannot pay me that 5% or 6% interest rate, I know that the government has the money that they're going to pay me until this industry gets to that level. Now I have a place where I can put my money in. That's what I'm saying, Depu, is that they have the policies, everything, that's good. But the implementation of these things is where we are falling way behind. And this thing has nothing to do with financial. It's not financial what they need to do. They just need to sit down and do good policies, and they need to also look at the implementation. And in Liberia right now, we do not have that. The implementation is very bad. You have to put. We have advanced. We have advanced as a globe. We've advanced to how we invest. A kid in America now, just from his cell phone, can decide if he wants to buy a share in something or not. We are not in that marketplace. We are hurting, and our government is not creating that enabling environment for us to be stakeholders. If we want to invest in Liberia, it requires that we work 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 times harder to want to invest in Liberia. And when that starts happening, we just resort to the easiest way. We take our money and we just put it in our 401k every 2 weeks, and we go about our business, right? So we have to look at the competition, what is out there. This is how you compete in today's economic, in today's investment world. This is how you competing. Thank you.
I will let you continue. I just want to throw something in there so that those of us who are financially challenged or who are financially illiterate can see that. So please stop staring at your screen. Let me bring out 2 points so that you can continue. Number one is politics. anytime we talk about these things, politics get in the way. Like for politicians, and politics consume most of our discussion in social media and everywhere else, and it gets in the way. Take for instance, if I'm a politician and I'm making the case that we are government is not doing well, I don't want to invest in Liberia because I don't want to even take businesses there because self-fulfilling prophecy. I want to make sure to show the world that this guy is not competent, he's not doing well, and so I'm not going to encourage any investment going on in Liberia. If I do, I'll be promoting his government, to get the credit, so I'm not going to do that. So politics that engulf 90% to 99% of our discussion gets in the way of what we're talking about. Number two, one of the things that you said, you are correct, and that's one reason we need someone from the government on this forum. Someone from the government, because these guys, they go to the social media friendly forum and discuss and throw numbers out there because they don't have an economist like Zero, financial guy like Alex, or a real estate entrepreneur and business-minded person and community leader like William Thomas Bernard King. So they go out these numbers, right? So we need Minister Tuen, Minister Tape, and the other guy from LRA. We need you guys on the Business and Economic Forum to defend it. Mr. Zuo always tell you, I'm not here to defend this document, but then he will defend it, which is good. I don't want Mr. Zuo to be the one answering questions for the government. Government, Mr. Weah and your people, we need you guys on the forum to address these challenges. Then the third thing, show that graph or that table from Ghana Investment Forum, from the Ghana NIC, right? And
yes.
Company A needs, let's say, 180 million.
Yes.
I'm Dennis Jai, I'm in America. How do I go about doing that? And how does it work? When you say, come and invest in this company, they need 180 million. What am I supposed to do? How do I get money out of my investment? What is the guarantee that what I'm putting there, I'm going to get my money back?
Thank you, Dennis. Let me just start with that last one. First and foremost, let me just say this. No investment around the world is guaranteed. And if you ever hear me or anybody telling you to your face that this is guaranteed, what I want you to know is that you need to run away from that. And that in the U.S.
Well, you're not correct, because United States bond is guaranteed.
Well, the bond
by the state and trust of the government. So,
but
yes,
I think you, yeah, even that's why they have some of those disclaimers that are put out there. To your point about the politics, this is what I want to say is that if we're just looking at politics, if that's the case, and we're looking at the popularity vote, which we know that George Weah won the election and he's very popular and so forth, whether he's Liberian in the diaspora, he has supporters everywhere. So what I'm saying is that give your supporters, those who support the government, give them the option to be stakeholders. Just give them the option, because when you come to election time, the record will show who is it that's investing in Liberia? Who is it that putting their money where their mouth is? Now, if you are a political opposition and you feel that you have a strong point to make why you didn't invest, while everybody else invested and they've been receiving that little return, then that's on you. You will have to answer to your constituents on that. Now, if you're an investor, of course, that the Ghana Investment Commission, those amount of money that they're asking for, they're seeking it from a little bit more sophisticated investors and so forth, right? But the first thing you would do is that you at least know, okay, hey, you know what? This person is looking for this amount. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to look up their company. I'm going to, at least there's a number, there's a directory. I will call them. I will do research. If I need to send a team over there or get an accounting, that's how you really start. And then you go a little bit deeper, and then you discover, okay, you know what? I want to invest in this company, or no, I do not. But at least they give you, as a Ghanaian citizen, they give you the option. They give you the option. And that's what I'm talking about, to be stakeholders. They give people the ability. And we do not have that. We are severely lacking in that. I mean, it is just I don't know, I almost use a big word like Alex, but it is just horrible, guys.
Economic lunacy.
Yeah, it is just economic lunacy, right? We have now the good thing about this is that we as Liberians, regardless of what people say and how we feel, we still turn around and send money. So we have that. We can start small. You can start small. And for companies, we get to a certain point where yes, we can list on the stock exchange. Possibly, yes. But for right now, just those small little low-hanging fruits things that we can do. We have Jungle Power, right? You have Jungle Power. You have that Modad, his company. You have that oil refinery company that is run by what's that guy named what's the guy that's married to Kamina Tolbert, Depu?
Alex Jones.
No. He knows the name, right? 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 Yeah. They just opened up a oil company, right? You have other companies in Liberia. And what I'm saying is that whether we like them or not, whether they're popular or not, the main thing is that we have to give our Liberian people the option to be stakeholders in our economy. And the way you do it, it has nothing to do, as the government is not money. It's just the little tools that we have at our disposal that we have to activate. People want to do the broadband, put it out there. It costs $80 million, I think, to have all broadband throughout the entire Liberia system. Who's going to benefit? Comium, Lone Star, all of those. Those companies are not owned by the way, those companies, they're not owned by Liberian companies, by Liberians. Some shares are owned by Liberian, but those companies, you would be shocked to learn that they're in Europe and in different places. And they have no incentive to put that investment. They have no incentive to put that investment in the broadband in all the entire rural area. That is only something that a Liberian will see, that he needs to do it. And if the government puts online, hey, we want to build this thing and we're going to give you a 4 or 5% return on your money, whether people like the return or not, give them the option to at least say if they want to do it or not. And we don't have that. We always going to beg for money. We love begging. This is a begging thing that has to stop. Sorry, I'm on a floor here, but this is a begging thing that has to stop. Right? We go all over. We go to, please come invest. Look at our investment website. Look. This is it.
You're not going to crash.
Right? I mean, it is just it. Look. This is
okay. Let's move on. Thank you.
This is horrible. Look at this.
Right.
Look at this.
And then, William, when you go there, go to the budget and see how much money was allocated to the National Investment Commission. Millions.
Okay.
So when some of us are outraged, let me just take it from where William is. Just give me 3 seconds there. Let me just vent, and then I'll calm down. We can talk economics. But how would somebody who made it the business, all right, to understand finance, economics, all right, spend the whole professional life? If you're not outraged at these kinds of things, this joke in Liberia called government, and I'm talking about the past one from early journalism to current, then you're in the wrong field. It's like a doctor who sees someone that's ill, and then somebody giving them something to drink with no, and saying that will heal you. You'll be outraged. So that's my outrage. But let's go back to the number, because today we're going to the classroom, going to finance 101. Here's the budget of Liberia, okay? Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs. I mentioned, and again, Dennis, let me just make the point here, okay? Because I think Liberians, they are so self-absorbed. I'm not looking to discuss anything with any Liberian official. I do not care. It does nothing for me, all right? I don't work in government, and I don't wish to work in government. So if anybody thinks that my idea is to sit down and talk with anybody who are in the past government or not, the only thing I'm seeing, if you're a public official, past or present, you owe it to your people. You don't go on Facebook all right, with your friends and your bunch of people who follow you, you know, you denigrate the office. When you can't hold an intellectual conversation about the very thing that you say you went to school for. So I won't be on any conversation if they think that's why they can't come to have discussion with other people of their peers. I don't have to be here and I don't want to be here. So whenever they come in, or the American or the Family Network come, I will be off. So give me all the time, but let them go through the budget. Let them talk about how much money is invested in Liberians or in Liberian industry. Let them look at the budget and look Liberians in the eyes and say, yes, we're doing better, or we have a policy. Yes, the Ministry of Finance. Let's go back from 2016 budget. Okay, Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs. Okay, $24 billion every year. Then this is in 2016. That's on the early justice elite. With a country that has almost in some parts 60% extreme poverty rate. All right. Also to the president, $4.1 million actual. Budget there, $3 million, $4.1 million actually spent. And if you go back up to current, okay, up to current year, $2.3 million. And you don't have, they pay $127,000 for the entire Ministry of State. You have the agriculture, the agriculture bank in Liberia, still owned, defunded completely. But you spend $24 million here, well, $15 million here. Then we want to talk here that we're thinking about it, we're working on it. What we need to work on? Take this money, all right? Take 80% of it, put it in the agricultural bank tomorrow. You know, put it in the agricultural bank and see if that rural economy don't grow. See if there's not jobs. See if you can get farm equipment. See if Liberia can now start exporting pepper or whatever local product. The people are selfish, and they will use the little intelligence they have to insult the rest of the country. And when any finance minister can say that Liberia doesn't have the money to do those things, they are lying to you. They take the money and they pay themselves. Technical services, presidential advisory board. One person, $71,000. The other one, $90,000. Okay? Domestic and special services, $475,000 in our year, 2016 alone. The numbers is there. So if you have all this staff and you still can come up with a freaking website to express your policy that costs maybe $4 will cost you maybe $20 a month. Then why wouldn't I be outraged at you or Amara Corner or anybody who said that we improved because more children went to school? Is that how you measure a country? When 80% or 60% of the people, what's like 60% of the people are living in abject poverty? That's your response.
Is justified.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you very much, Dennis.
Let me. And we are winding.
Yeah,
down.
we're an economic forum. Let's talk about investment. Let's talk it.
Mr. Zuo.
Yeah. So you want me to be the observer?
No. Are you?
Yeah, because the thing about it is that I don't want to be seen as someone who represents government. But there are some things that I actually understand once I work in the system. I always do make a clarification. I think Ellis' point is very good. In fact, one of the things, the first screen he was showing regarding the Bureau of State Enterprise, I just want to emphasize this, that these are some of the complications in terms of government function. The Bureau of State Enterprise no longer actually exists in terms of functionality. If you look at it realistically, that is scrapped out. You got National Bureau of Enterprise already, the NBR is already there. I mean NBC, National Bureau Commission. Then they got the State Enterprise section at the Ministry of Finance. So that identical entity no longer exists. So, but you still annually, you still see salary appropriation for that. Those are some of the waste in government. I know that these things are things that sometimes.
Mr. Zuo, I want to don't call it waste. They put it there so they were stealing. So it's not waste. It's stealing.
It is. No, you need to look at it realistically. One thing I'm coming to say this is that what is very much important if you're discussing about economic efficiency level is that the appropriation allocation, every cent in the budget must have its return and impact on it. So even as much as you think that you are paying salaries to people, And after paying the salary, there must be a return on the salary. That means people should function, people should work. But you can't just give salary to people and in the end, they're not showing any result. So there must be, that's a good chunk of money, 127,000, that could even be given to the rice production. You know, besides the Cooper company, they got Liberia Rice Production Association that they even have a forum that they meet. I've spoken to the group before that even if government can just give, you know, instead of just appropriating huge amount for other things, you just give $2 million and say this $2 million is appropriated for this year to subsidize your production. That itself will make more farmers to actually bring in more money. Another thing that is very much important here I'm looking at is that we have to look at the programming of our budget. And, you know, it's quite interesting to know that certain figure will be repeated every year. And if you look at it, if you look at that realistically, it means that economically speaking, no movement.
Nothing happening.
It's not possible that one minister will back out every year and say vehicle and lubricant. You back out this year, you're not supposed to back out next year. These are some of the constraints that we have in our economy. These are some of the constraints that we have in the public sector management in Liberia. And one thing I can tell you that we still have capacity constraints. In fact, I guess every year when people are not making the right decision, we appoint the right people to have the right skill set for people to do something. And I can tell you that I usually, one of my colleagues, myself, can joke. People say I got 10 years experience. Some of them have 15 years experience in government. But I can tell you that if you have 10 years experience writing one letter, the same wording every year, and a boy who just graduated from college can write a letter with another version that can actually entice or encourage investors to come. I can tell you that your 10-year experience is actually useless to the 1-year experience student. So sometimes these are the capacity constraints that public sector actually will have. I'm not defending government. There are many things that happen, and I think that it's good for us to actually reduce. That's one of the reasons why, for me, I feel that we need to reduce government influence. We need to actually focus more on private sector, where when the Liberians is given the opportunity to compete with a Lebanese or compete with a fuller guy who comes into the system, he's feel impressed, he feel challenged, and he that's the kind of discussion we need to be talking about right now. The Liberians in the diaspora here say, look, I want to, next week engagement, I want to bring someone from the private sector. The reason why I really plan to focus, when Ami came and also John Water came, you saw the flavor and the people were responding. If we continue to bring other people to share their experience, it will encourage Liberians that are sitting down in the diaspora with their fund to go in. Because the one thing that there is that we are all afraid of the environment. We are not taking risks to go in Liberia and see what we can do. Another sector that I see it may not appear as business, but it's very much important that I can tell you this is that let's look at the education sector. Government made huge appropriation annually in the education sector. In fact, they talk about private investment opportunity in the education sector. You look at the skill set and the training opportunity that are there. You see that many Liberians who invest in education are making huge return. They are making more money, but the output tend to be low. How can you challenge that? You can open competition. Someone else can leave from here today and say, you know what, I'm opening a private school just in this community, and that private school I'll do it at a low skill, low tuition, and reduce the tuition and see how your output, the graduates will compete with other students. These are some of the opportunities. That one made the country competitive. Now, going to Ghana National Investment Commission versus Liberia National Investment Commission, I can tell you clearly that Liberia is more politically sensitive than economic sensitivity. If a guy is appointed at National Investment Commission, you'll be appointed based on presidential influence. For Ghana and most of those British colonies, they got the position that they call permanent secretary. See, their recruitment system is done in such a way that they recruit permanent secretary. These are professionals, technocrats that are appointed, that are employed in the entities with the requisite skill and experience to work. And these people have nothing to do with political decision, and they go ahead and do their work. But Liberia does not have that. Directors, in fact, when ministers come, he change director and put another director there. But the Ghana, you go to Ghana, you go to Kenya. In fact, most of these countries that are from the British system, they got permanent secretary. These people are efficient, professional, career workers who are in the ministries and agencies. They don't care because they will not be dismissed by anybody. They are not supposed to be dismissed. They are employed until they retire or they resign on their own. But it's not like that in Liberia. So people, because of job security and because of loyalty and other things, they tend to they put the weaker people with lower skill into the positions. So it also bloated our salary and paying huge wages to people who underperform. So these are things that we need to be looking at. Even though this is not a private sector for, I want us to discuss more on private sector. But in as much as
Debu, you cannot have a thriving private sector in Liberia with all the right policy and the right government economic management. There's no country. If Japan does not have, of course.
Listen to me. I'm not ruling out governance issue. Economic governance is very crucial to economic performance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We got two more things to cover, and we'll listen to a short news roundup from our West African correspondent. Let me bring in our last caller to just make a comment for 1 minute because we are out of time. So caller, your name and where you calling from briefly. You have 1 minute.
This is Dr. Kula Cohen from Atlanta. I'm enjoying the conversation, but I got two questions. One,
Dr. Kula, please talk little, your audio, please talk a little louder.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I think I've got a headset on. That's why.
We got more people calling, so if you're not ready,
I was saying I've got two questions.
Okay.
Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Two questions for the panel. One, does anybody know about the $10 million that George Weah boasted of having set aside for diaspora Liberians to invest in the Liberian economy? And two, is there a textbook written specifically on the Liberian economy, supply chain, and everything specific to Liberia? Because what I see is people in the universities there are studying economics textbooks based on the American economy and Western economies that doesn't really apply to Liberia, because they really think that, okay, if you build, let's say, Fendel, somehow you'll have development like it's done in America, which most of our developments are done by venture capitalists and others that actually plan out these areas when different things are built, whether universities or what have you. So I just want you guys to speak to those two things. Thank you.
Thank you. And please write that down. Let me bring in my next caller. Please write that down. We have our next caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
This Monu calling from Las Vegas.
Monu, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Your question or comment? You have 1 minute.
Yeah, I've got a comment. My problem is getting access to Liberia for investors has always been a problem because of the visa issue. And I'll tell you a story. A couple of years back during the Ellen Johnson government, I had an investor that was interested in investing in Liberia, but he was flying from the West Coast of the United States. He went to India, and then he wanted to go to Liberia, but he needed a visa. So he had to fly all the way from India to Belgium, which was the closest place, closest Liberian visa issuing center. So those are some of the little things that Mr. Weah should try to see about. At least have a visa-free system, as they do in a lot of, progressive African countries like Rwanda. I think Nigeria just started it. If you know somebody going to invest money in your country, let them come in.
Okay.
They don't have to come with a visa or do a visa on arrival. That sort of system. And those are the little things that, those are the little incentives you throw to investors. But you asking, say, for instance, if I'm on the West Coast and I want to go to Liberia, I don't have a Liberian passport. I have to send my passport all the way to D.C. because there's nowhere on the West Coast where, they process Liberian visa. So those are the sort of things that people, even, investors that want to come, those are the sort of obstacles that people have to face. The last time I called, I mentioned, and you guys mistakenly thought I said something else. Last time I called, I said the government needs to pick winners in terms of, Liberian entrepreneurs. The WIA government sees, say, for instance, Mr. Modat, who has a facility that he sells, I think, drinks and stuff like that, beverages. The Liberian government needs to go to a bank and have that bank and guarantee a loan to Mr. Modat's facility. You know why? Because that will help that facility expand, and the expansion of that facility means that there will be an expansion in government taxes. The people employed at that facility, they pay taxes. Say if the facility happens to go beyond the Liberian border, because we got a very small market, let's face it. If you wanted to make money in Liberia, use Liberia as your platform to market to, say, Nigeria with 200 million people, 27 million people in Ghana, and, just use it as, you cannot get rich marketing in Liberia only. Use a sub-region. So that's what I was trying to explain the last time. So if the government can back, if the government can back, a Liberian entrepreneur that's doing well, and let that entrepreneur expand their company, the government will benefit in the long run. That's basically what I was saying in terms of taxes and other areas.
Thank you.
Dennis,
feel free.
Let me say that real quick. During the President Sirleaf administration, Amin Modad, I know he was on the show maybe about 6 or 7 or maybe 9 weeks ago. You can check with him to confirm, but I believe that there was some kind of government financing or something that was made available to him, and he is flourishing. So that's something that's an example. The other thing is with the passport, 100% agree with the passport. Now, very interesting. I know President Weah has a good relationship with the president from Senegal. Now, in Senegal, you go there free, no visa for I think 2 or 3 weeks, free. And also another thing is that in Senegal, if you have a great plan and you require land, they give you the land free with contingencies, meaning if you say you're going to do something within 2 years, if you haven't done it, they take the land back. So those are some competitive advantages that are being used in other parts of West Africa that for us, it doesn't require any money. There's no needed $10 million investment in Diaspora. All is needed is for our government to sit down and say, hey, this is how we're going to do it, what we want to do, and let's get it going. That there's no money required for some of those things. Thank you.
Thank
Dennis?
you.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Can I respond, Mr. Debo, before you come in? To the question that was asked earlier about the $10 million that we have said.
Go ahead. That's what I want to respond to. Go ahead.
Okay. Look, listen, they said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Liberian people wake up, okay? It don't take, a third grader to understand if somebody cannot do something or if somebody tells you they're going to do something one time, they don't do it 2 times, 3 times. There's no money in the country. George does not have the money. If he has it, let it show. I know where Bill Gates has. I know where every person of substance, their network. If he wants to take his personal money and give it to the Liberian government, it's not some kind of, barroom deal. So there's no money. The place how much the country has is in the Liberian budget. That is publicized every year. Go to the budget, and if you see $10 million, you see grants from the UN, you see grants from the EU, Everything is in the budget. I spend a lot of time reading budget because that's all I do for a living. I read financial statements. Okay? The problem is, let's be sensible here. We have a inept government, and we've had that from the Eddie Johnson side. And I just want to make this last point with this one last screen. Okay. Sorry, hold on. Let me get out. And why I make that point? Look, any professional person, and I was talking to one gentleman today, a very fine professional. All of us know when we go to apply for a job in America here. They look at your resume, they call you in for maybe a phone interview, then they call you for a roundtable interview. During that period, guess what happens? They sit you down. If you want to be a financial, let's say you're a CFO, you're applying for an analyst position, and guess what? They will grill you. There were 2 questions at you. One time I was in an interview, they had at least, I would say, 7 to 8 people. For 2 hours, I had to answer questions. Then after that, I had to come back again. All right? And there's a whole panel. Is that how we hire people in Liberia? No. So what do you expect? You get what you pay for. It's not a miracle that certain countries are doing better, like Ghana, like I think William said. So that hope of George Weah or Eddie. Look, for the first 3 months of Eddie Johnson regime, I was on the record to say this government will produce nothing tangible economically. Okay, Todd Wangwe, who's by the ANC, he was at that dinner when I told him that. And it's not magic. You look at what the person has to offer. The same way how when you're being hired, the interviewers listen to what you say, your reasoning of the problem, if you understand the problem, and if you have solutions. When last have you ever seen before any Samuel Tuer or Amar Corner or California come to discuss economics or finance? These are people with degrees in finance. When? So again, if you don't do those things, right, why now you will do it? You're not used to it. So let me just put the last thing because this is my last point. My last point. Okay, and my last one here is the last time I was making a comment and I said that under Charles Taylor, the economy grew more than Eddie Johnson said. And I heard all kinds of people, on air, oh, this is outrageous, this is outrageous. So I want to show the Liberian people that today, because we live in an informed society, and we should be able to, prove what we say. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to show the GDP on our task.
You have the question. I thought you would respond to the question.
Yeah. Far. Dennis, call far. Don't play far. I'm here playing far. Call the far, Dennis.
Okay, hold on. I will respond to the question, but this is economic issue. I'm not daring to politics. This is economic issue. Okay.
We are not discussing GDP.
Hold on. I think I have the flow. But you come on. This is Liberia GDP. All right. The Liberia GDP in terms of the percentage move. Okay. Okay. So, Chancellor came to power, 1997, I think, right? The GDP grew in terms of percentage term from 12% to 106%. In 1998, the average GDP in the country that year was 27%. And it went to 22%, and 25%, and 22%. Eddie Johnson came to power when? 2007? 2005. There's the record year. 2005. The average, the highest was 9.4%. I didn't create this number, but we need to educate ourselves. This is not to say there was not a higher economic activity in growth terms. But I wasn't talking about growth terms, I was talking about percentage, because there's a lot of Liberians that go out there and say, oh, in Liberia we grew 9% every year on an Eddie Johnson salary. So if you want to measure it, then you have to measure percentage by percentage. So again, let us be informed. Let us also, there's a lot of smart Liberian people out there. Let us stop letting these politicians, get away with this, just coming out saying anything or are not accountable. So that's my mission. I will make them accountable. And, I don't care what it takes. Thank you very much.
Alex, the question that John Cassette is asking you is the graph you are displaying from the World Bank. Yes or no?
Is it what?
The graph, is it from the World Bank? Yes or no?
Oh, this is from the central bank, and which is coming from the World Bank and IMF. This is all the country in the world, trading economists, every country in the world. This is statistic, the real-time statistic. And I can forward that if you need it. You can go to America, China, everything here. Yeah, but it tells you what the data is coming from.
Put the link on Facebook under the video, and everybody can see it. Let me go to Depu to respond to the question. And we have to
address the question instead of going back to GDP, because Ellis need to understand the volume and value in terms of analysis of growth. So I don't want to go into that one. It should be our next week discussion. But a quarter mentioned $2 million from President Weah, and I don't want to respond to say yes or no. I cannot remember where President Weah had appropriated $10 million into any bank account and say for private sector development. I know that there was a decision that they should put $3 million aside, and the $3 million, and later on we have not seen it being utilized for the small medium-sized business. And one of the things that the quarter asked for is very much important is the issue of textbooks. Frankly speaking, there is nowhere Liberian text, to be specific in terms of business, even finance, or only text I know is that it has come from the English and literature aspect of our society that have been written by other people. The folklore has been written, but in terms of finances and business, even I haven't seen it, and I must be very frank and fair with that. Those are some of the constraints in terms of our learning environment. So we don't have textbooks in economics and business. We deal with the textbooks written from the Western and also other African countries, because Ghana and Nigeria, they have already a book written for their West African Examination Council, which is also utilized in Liberia school system, because they got a vast subject for Nigeria, Ghana, that what Liberia is also using. Mm-hmm. In terms of visa on arrival, it's a glorious opportunity for all developing countries. It's one of the things in fact, the other African countries that are prospering today, that's why they adopted. We also ask that it should be adopted. The Liberian government should be implementing that now, because we work on the visa, the online visa process, but there was some security implication that had delayed it. But visa on arrival, Kenya is big into that. Ghana is big. Ghana has also adopted that from Kenya. For Rwanda, you can get it online. You do everything upon arrival before you get your visa. These things are all the opportunity that actually boom the economy, that actually will spur growth. So what is very much important is that Liberians we have to be looking at the uniqueness of our economy and see how best that we can take advantage of. And I will go back to it, like there are some other industry in Liberia that we can go into that will make us more productive as a country. Rice production is very much important. If government can make sure it's subsidized and investors can come in and do a capital pool to actually go into that, is a better opportunity, because it actually reduces domestic consumption in terms of rice is very high. So it's a big market. Negotiation with partners and investors to actually do rice production is very much important. Let's look at in terms of export. What are the opportunity that we have now? William was talking about someone coming with oil. Patrick Sandolo, this guy has actually come up for palm oil production. He's exporting oil across West Africa right now. These are opportunities that we also have. You got cocoa industry. And these are things that will make the economy to grow. And I think that Liberians abroad and Liberians at home need to take advantage of these things. To end, I will say again, what is very much important, the way forward for Liberia growth and development is through economic development, it's through investment, it's through trading. If we don't have the opportunity, not everybody's supposed to be a strong politician, I can say this, but you got a strong business person, the guy can influence decision. He can actually win people over. But more politicians will talk and don't have the purchasing power. Therefore, they change the mind of the young people and make them to really think that that's their strength, to talk. Talking without any income, without any visible cash in your hand, I see your whole life, your entire family in poverty. And the way out of poverty is through business, is through investment, is through trading. It's an opportunity for education as well for Liberia. So thank you. I hope next week we'll have an opportunity to go more into our private sector development. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And viewers, let me read just 3 comments from Facebook. Matter T. Man say, our governance structure is also a serious problem. We created many functions that are not necessary. Liberia needs serious structural reform because the waste in our national budget is too much. Josh Toto says, focus on Liberia. Please make efforts to bring the investment commissioner, the finance minister, CBL, and senior government officials on the show to participate in the discussion. Judge Toto, thank you. And you can please, anybody watching us, if you can help, please do. We have been inviting people, but they don't come. And maybe we need to make more effort, and we'll do our best. Okay, so, and now focus on Liberia. Say, hey, you should subscribe to our FOL YouTube channel and subscribe to us, hit the alert button, and you're going to be notified anytime there's a new show. And this is New Year. You can also help us by giving us a small donation through Cash App. Send it to $FOL 2017. This is, we are self-supported. So any little thing you can give us for Christmas and New Year, that would be wonderful. Gentlemen, we have come to the end of the broadcast, so I'll go around the room to get your final comments, and then you set the stage for our next discussion next week.
Thank you, Dennis. Just give me 2 minutes. If I go over 2 minutes, raise your hand so I can stop. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to my mother. She was watching the show today, so I know I got to be very accurate and correct because she's going to grill me. And she mentioned that the person, I couldn't remember the name from the top of my head, was Mr. Sharif Abdallah. So it just skipped my mind as far as the oil refinery company. So thanks, Mom, for that. Much love. The other thing I want to mention is that this just came in. I don't want to rub pepper in anybody's soul in Liberia, but Ghana just launched a $3 billion diaspora bond. So Ghana just launched a $3 billion diaspora bond. And I just want to say for something like that, with the brilliant minds we have, this has nothing to do with money. This is just policies and so forth. So creating that enabling environment. The other thing also on that Ghana commission site that I showed, some of the challenges can be the same like we may face. For example, the advisor for that council, he's encouraging businesses in Ghana to please make sure that they begin to build their company profile so that investors, when they want to invest, it can be a lot easier for something for them to see. And this is something that Alex had mentioned on numerous occasions about the importance of having a company profile, the website, and everything like that, all these things structured. So definitely want to thank all our viewers, listeners. We couldn't cover everything, but we're going to continue with this conversation next week. And thank everyone. And this is a business economic forum. Like Dennis said, this is not something that we make money from it. So if you feel you want to support us, there's the Cash App. We're going to be rolling out a lot of exciting things this year. So get ready for it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Alex and Depu, before you come in with your final word, let me read from Alexander Patu Kwesi. Next time you want to talk about youth empowerment and entrepreneurship, let me know. So guys, Alexander say anytime you want to talk about that, please let him know. And one suggestion here from, where can I find it? There is a suggestion here. Amara Kafumba Keita say, if I could offer a suggestion here, will the government of Liberia mandate all government ministries, agencies, commissions, legislatures, judiciary, etc., to establish and maintain a functioning portal or website in 2020? That's his suggestion. So let me go to you, Depu, for your final comments.
Okay, thank you. I think it's been a very good exercise today that we discussing about investment in Liberia. I want to encourage Liberians in the diaspora and also at home to see business as a way forward. Private sector is a way forward. The news about Ghana diaspora bond, I actually received it today. I went through it, as you have mentioned that. It's also something that I also proposed for the Liberian government as a way of actually boosting the private sector and also investment in the economy. And to see investment capital for infrastructure will be one of the areas. Diaspora bond, most African countries to be specific, Ghana is doing it, Ethiopia had done it, Rwanda had done it. It's good for us as a country. And I want to also encourage the listeners to see the need in terms of business development in Liberia. People who are professionals need to take advantage of that and see how best to improve the skill level of our people, what we call the market women, the petty traders, and all of the Liberia Business Association, Liberia Chamber of Commerce. These are the entities, these organizations, they need capacity building. Even though they try to do it on their own and they want to be more involved in the public policy issue, but there's a need to do that training for these people to see how best they can improve their business. In terms of our caller response website is very much important. That's a very good recommendation. Transparency, Liberia is actually having serious challenge because of lack of transparency. People are afraid to make public their own transaction in ministries, in agencies. People are afraid to actually disclose whatever budget that is given to an entity. These are things that's stalling out. People must be open. And as a public sector, public servant, you should not be afraid of public critique and evaluation. Whatever evaluation that is done for you today, it improves you for better performance tomorrow. So it's good for the government entities to make their work and their activity public for people to know what they do, because it's a taxpayer money. We need to account for it better. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Dapo. Yes, again, Dennis, thank you for the platform. I think this platform is doing a great deal to change our country and the psyche of our country, to focus on economics. I remember there was a time that the word economics was not mentioned, finance was not mentioned in our public discussion. Today, we have a lot of economists, everybody's an economist. So it's a good thing that we can come here and talk about it and not just talk about politics. I'm always happy and open to engage anyone. This is what we do in finance and economics. We discuss, we debate, we disagree, we show evidence, we do reports. And lastly, in terms of textbook, we don't have to start with textbook. Ghana did not start with textbook, and America did not start with textbook. You can start with a little paper. Let's hold our government officials to write their policy out. So that way, I don't make false accusation against you. If the Minister of State, write out what's your vision for the state in terms of the structure, what's going on. Write a brief, write an op-ed. It will help. When we start doing all those different publications, we can put them together collectively, and that can be a Liberian policy book. The same thing with the accounting field or the health field or whatever field. So, I would like to encourage, and I have myself the time and everything, but, I'm one of my resolutions this year is to write more. So I think that's the way we start to create our own economic vision of what we want Liberia to look like and what our economy will look like. But it's been a pleasure, and I'm unapologetic when it comes to, standing up for what I believe is a great country with lots of people. We all should be backing. Any Liberian who's in America, we shouldn't be here. We should be building our country. And there's no excuse. We have the resources. We have vibrant people. We care. We shouldn't let a few people dictate our future and our children's future. We all should be angry. We all should be activated. And we should hold ourselves to a higher standard. We can't live on the 1% GDP and say it's okay when the countries or times were 20% and 100%. So, I don't have any passion or prejudice towards anybody. What it is I just want us to be able to raise our standard in the field of economics and finance, because that is what is going to make us a better nation. Thank you very much. And all the people who watch consistently and come on, we really appreciate you to take your time on a Saturday or Friday and come on to, share. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much. And to add to the textbook discussion, we don't have the textbook. There's something I strongly believe in, leapfrogging. One of the biggest one of the textbook that you can do now is to watch the Business and Economic Forum on Focus on Liberia. You can download the video or burn it to a CD or a DVD, put it in the classroom, and it has, if I'm teaching business, finance, economic in Liberia, I'm going to let my student watch this episode and go and make report. That's the kind of education that is very much needed now and that is very prevalent. So take advantage of this, and not just the Business Economic Forum. We discussed a lot of things. The other day we're discussing how do we fix the structure. Sometimes you go on Facebook or YouTube, you watch the history of Liberia, the history and culture of the Pele people or the Mandingo people. Everything is there. We here at Focus on Liberia, we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. And I couldn't be any more happier than being part of this forum. You know, I spend a lot of time, you know, I have books out there, I have blogs, I do a lot of things, but Focus on Liberia are taking hold of me now that most of my other projects are on hold because I enjoy this so very much, especially working with these incredible people. Now, for tomorrow, we have something for you. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., Ms. Councillor T. Jallo is going to be on here. You know, we've been talking about dual citizenship, Preposition 1, and all that. T. Jallo went and sued the government of Liberia to the Supreme Court on this same thing because as a born Liberian, he says, I'm a Liberian and I don't need visa to go to Liberia as long as I'm a Liberian born. He sued and he won the case. So the issue of this whole dual citizenship may be a moot point. Preposition 1, maybe, you know, you don't have to worry about it again or not. We're going to find all that out from T. Jallo, who sued and won the case at the Supreme Court. It's coming on at 3 p.m. And he's going to be here with me, and I'm going to ask the hard question. I'm going to ask him, I'm going to drill on this so that you get a full understanding of all these things surrounding that. And that case was based on the Alien and Nationality Law. That's the law that stopped people who get other citizenship from becoming Liberians now. So he sued and he won the case. So you don't want to miss that. Maybe you don't have to get a visa to go back to Liberia anymore. You don't need to go dual citizenship or drive to get it or not get it. According to the case, it may not be needed anymore. So please don't miss that. Then at 6 p.m., tomorrow is our law day, right? At 6 p.m., Attorney Patricia Medicon will be here to explain to you about this whole DED thing that's being changed. The new bill that has been signed is called the Liberian Immigration Fairness Act. This has been signed by President Donald Trump. Sometimes I catch myself saying President Donald Trump. He signed that, and so what do we need to do now? Who all does it cover? What is the process of getting your green card? If you're on DED, TPS, or if you never had status at all? Attorney Patricia Minicon is going to be explaining that at 6 p.m. tomorrow. And so that's all on the legal side, but we still enjoy politics here on Focus on Liberia. For the whole week, for the whole month of January, on our
Tuesday
politics, every Tuesday, for the whole week of January, we're going to be periscoping, we're going to be examining keenly all the political actors in Liberia. Starting with the government of Liberia, we're going to put, for example, President George Weah under a microscope and just examine or screen him, somebody under the microscope. We call this one a periscope because it can go through rocks. Minister Tue and all the people. Not only that, we're going to also focus on opposition. We're going to talk about Mr. Cummings, Mr. Ure, Mr. Costa, Mr. Darrow Dillon, and all the politicians. We're not going to even stop there because there are a lot of people now on social media as advocates, political pundits, or politicians, all that. We're also going to be periscoping them. Because most of the time, what we find out is people get to the limelight, they are not vetted. And by the time we go low, boom, they are leaders. And we can't vet them anymore because they are way up there. All we have to do is to bow down and worship them. So at this time, we're going to put them on our microscope and we scrutinize them, make sure that whoever put themselves in the spotlight, you're going to be vetted thoroughly. I want to say thank you very much for watching the show tonight. For all our viewers, continue to watch us, continue to follow us, continue to support us. All these things without you. Until next time, my name is Dennis Ja, wishing you all good night.
Dennis, when you take us offline, we gotta have a meeting. So when you get offline, you, me, Alex, and Depu, we need to talk for a few minutes. Okay.